did those early years shape your sense of purpose? That's a good question.
Good job, ChatGPT.
All right. What stirred your heart toward feeding the hungry and equipping others?
That is a deep question.
I know, right? 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Okay, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Welcome back to another exciting episode of Refreshment for You. I'm the doctor, and with me today is Darcy Johnson. Oh, we are so happy to have you in the studio today.
So good to be here.
Okay, we have known each other for decades.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do we want to admit that? Because, we're still 37 and that would be hard to do.
I know, wouldn't it? I actually met you just after you graduated from UConn with a degree in criminal justice.
That's true.
We were doing some ministry together with youth. When you saw your life's projection at that time, did you think you'd be where you are today?
No, not at all. I think at 22, I graduated, like you said, from UConn with a criminal justice major, and I wanted to be a police officer.
Okay.
So that was my only thought, my very focused thought, and I pursued it with a couple of the towns in the area. Took my first police exam, a written exam, one position open, and there was 438 people in the room taking the exam. And I thought, ooh, this is some competition here.
Oh, yeah.
I knew that I wasn't going to get that job. But
okay.
a couple weeks later, there was another posting, actually two more. I signed up to take the next test on the following Saturday morning. And on Friday of that week, I completely lost the desire to be a cop.
Oh my goodness.
It was definitely a God thing where, I think there's been a few times in my life where I feel like he has spoken to me so clearly.
Yes.
And he said, this is not who I made you to be.
Wow.
Yeah, that was very shocking because I just spent 4 years in college studying law.
You were like, what do I do now?
Right.
Yeah.
What next?
Oh.
And God provided another job through the networking of Christian friends.
Yeah.
And so I went in a completely different direction.
And what direction was that?
Well, I started appraising real estate. The market kind of fell out at that point. I was an independent contractor, and then I had to go find a real job with real benefits. And then that landed me at Aetna, where I had quite a long career.
Okay.
And it was a big...
Yes, a circuitous route. But trusting God in the process to say, I'm okay with this, and I'm going to honor that gut feeling, which we've talked about a lot.
Yeah, we have.
Trusting your gut. Mm-hmm. So maybe it wasn't too hard to trust that.
I think it was hard to hear. And then it was probably a hard few weeks after that.
Okay.
Because I felt very lost, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what now?
Yeah.
Because I think any time in life where we have a plan, and a lot of us are planners, so we have a plan, we know what we're going to do, we know how that's going to look, and then something comes up in life and you have either a roadblock or you take a little left-hand turn when you should have gone right. It takes some time to digest and kind of pivot, so it was definitely a time of pivot for me.
Yeah.
So I don't think it took that long because the world is filled with opportunities and you start to think more about what your spiritual gifts are. And I think at the very core of wanting to be a police officer, I want to help people, which is definitely, a part of it. I have a strong heart, I guess, for right and wrong. Those things have carried through in my entire life. So it's looked differently in different careers, but I think those core pieces of who I am, who God created me to be, is current today.
I love that so much. And you touched on spiritual gifts or gifts and mentorship. Apostle Paul decided that he was going to write a letter to Timothy, his mentee. And he encouraged Timothy to fan the flame, to stir up that gift. God hasn't given us a spirit of timidity, but of power, love, and self-discipline. And so sometimes I think when we are shook or thrown, our confidence is a little off kilter. Sometimes there is a tendency for people to go into a timid mode. I'm not sure what I should do.
Right.
And isolation keeps people from accelerating and fanning that flame, that gift within them to really make an impact. Yes. But I love your story which is you reached out to people in your network.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very supportive and encouraging to you.
Yes. And I continue to do that. Amazing opportunities. First of all, people are fascinating. Learning from people that I've not met before and hearing their stories, and then finding out what their life experiences has been so that I can glean from some of that too. And whether that becomes an official mentor-mentee type relationship or not, it doesn't matter. I think you just grab that one piece of one piece of what? Just
advice
like
or
wisdom, just a little wisdom
Yeah.
from that conversation, then you just run. You know, you gotta run with that. Grab that and run.
Paul follows up in that same chapter to Timothy that says, guard the gift that's been entrusted to you. In my opinion, of knowing Darcy for decades.
Do we have to say that again? No.
I know.
No, it's really a good thing. It really
is a good thing,
It is.
yes.
We'll embrace it.
I have seen Darcy be such a good steward. And that, I think, is from those early days of what's been in your heart, which led you into pursuing criminal justice for right and wrong and ethics and morals and values. And that has been a through line in your journeys. Just to share a little bit about Darcy's work, you have a ministry at your church called Hope for 10.
It's one of our outreach ministries. It started because there was a single mom with 9 kids in our church, and she needed some coming alongside. We had great hope for the 10 of them to break out of that poverty cycle and thrive in life. So we came alongside, mentored her, you know, in her house, with her home, parenting, and first of all, finding a home that she wasn't getting evicted, because most apartments don't allow 10 people in one apartment. So that was a huge problem.
Yeah.
But just all the steps that she needed to get onto the right path, which did happen, which was pretty, you know, God awesome stuff. So the ministry just kind of grew from there. And the other piece that you were speaking of was the partnership that we now have with an elementary school, which abuts our church's property. And we've been able to go in and do anything from like a back to school supply drive to partnering with the PTA to throw a carnival for the whole school body for every single classroom in the school. One of our parishioners is committed every single day that school is open to pray for that teacher and the school, the administration. And then we have 12 people who go in between 1 and 4 times a week to help an assigned teacher. So they stay with the same teacher all year. They get to know those kids in the classroom, and they'll do anything from like helping like the kindergartners just learn letters to reading to math to whatever it is that they need. And fortunately, a lot of our volunteers are retired men. And so for some of these kids that don't have males in their households, it's been an amazing opportunity for them to see how a godly man acts. Our mentors are phenomenal, and the school year is going so well in that regard. So
wow, that is life-changing.
It is.
What are the risks of saying yes too much? Do you find yourself in a quandary of, you know, I'm in a difficult position because there's too many things to say yes to and I should say no more? Or do you feel like that's a struggle?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I think especially if you're talking about Hope for 10 specifically, the number of needs among our 925 like people in our private Facebook group, the needs are just increasing exponentially, and the cost of food that's going up. We have a free food Friday, the third Friday of the month. We're able to help families, but they also need cleaning supplies, and this is something, you know, kind of coming back to that first family that we helped when I was in the kitchen with them. One day they had shampoo to wash the dishes in the kitchen, and I said, "Oh, yeah, the wrong soap here." She goes, "That is the only soap I have until the first of the month when I get my SNAP benefits." So that was actually something I did not know. Like, you can't buy cleaning supplies and personal hygiene items with your EBT card.
Right.
So we have free Clean Friday every other month as well. So we add in those extra supplies along with the free food that we give out to them.
We need others, and fanning the flame and recruiting people and bringing them onto your team and mentoring them. Can you give us some final thoughts?
We only have a couple of the spiritual gifts, and God lists a lot of spiritual gifts, and we don't have all those. So we do need each other, because that is a well-rounded ministry when you have people who represent each one, or who are gifted in each one of those areas. So I know, like, as I'm leading the Hope for 10 ministry or whatever else I'm doing in my life, first of all, I love people, so I love the team. Part of fanning the flame really is making space for people to be able to come in to partner in whatever way they're able to, for a ministry to feel purposeful and to use their gifts. And from that, comes joy. And it's fun. Like, ministry should be fun. It should be encouraging. It should be teamwork. And when that does happen, oh gosh, it's a good day. Yeah. And we can do so much more. I mean, we got to dream big, because I think there is a lot more out there that we as Christians can be doing right now in today's world to be effective ministers of the gospel. You probably already know what your passion is, so go find somewhere to volunteer that's going to use that passion. So if it's you love dogs and cats, then go volunteer and walk some dogs at a humane society, at a shelter. There, a lot of the shelters are asking people to come. If you love babies, go to the NICU and hold a baby for 3 hours so somebody can get a break, and just love on those babies. There's just so many opportunities, and I think the more that we give in that kind of a realm, that's not your 40-hour work week, all within the standards of what you can actually do. I think you get so much more out of it than what you give. You may be giving a couple of hours of your time, but what you receive in return, and that joy and that sense of belonging and that sense of being able to help somebody else, that's just immeasurable. I think we all just need to stay in tune with God. Is God calling us to do this thing? Is God calling us to do that thing? Is God calling us to say yes? Is he calling us to say no? Is he calling to get a team that can help carry some of the burden of ministry work, or whether it's in your professional work, apply it to whatever you'd like. But it's important to say no to things that you're not gifted at doing, because it's going to wear you out fast. The energies that God gives us is what he gives us, and we have to store that well. And if we say yes to everything, we're not storing it well. And it's a disservice to what he has planned for us. So let's be careful about that, right?
Totally. Personal life, faith life, professional life, all of these are universal themes. So thank you so much for sharing your heart today. Reach out to us at Refresh Meant for You. That's Refresh, MEANT, the number 4, the letter U, at gmail.com for Darcy's takeaways. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Darcy's doodles, Darcy's...